students. So in the third part of the architecture, we need to discuss another important part of the architecture, that is flag register. This flag register is a 16-bit register having 9 useful bits and remaining 7 unused bits. So the format of the flag register is as shown here. The bits which are shown as the cross, they are don't care bits. It means they are unused bits, and rest of the bits that are named here, they are useful bits, and we call them as flags. Actually, these flags are responsible for two important functions in the microprocessor. It gives the status of the result that is carried out within the arithmetic and logic unit, and it controls certain operation of the microprocessor. So depending on that, the total 9 flags which are available in the flag register are categorized as 6 status flags and 3 control flags. The status flags are those flags which give the status after performing the arithmetic and logical operation in ALU. The result obtained uh, has certain status which will be copied into the flags, and we call it as a status flag. On the other hand, there are 3 control flags which control certain operation of microprocessor, and hence we call them as control flags. So in the figure, the flags which are marked as in the red color, they are all status flags, and the flags which are mentioned in the yellow color, they are all control flags. So total 6 status flags are available and 3 control flags are available in the flag register. To begin with, we will first of all start with the status flags. In the status flag, the first flag is carry flag, second flag is parity flag, third flag is auxiliary carry flag, then fourth one is zero flag, then sign flag, and then overflow flag. One by one we will discuss the function of each flag. To start with, let us consider one example as shown here, the example of addition. I have taken two 8-bit numbers and I have added them to get this following result. Now this operation will be carried out in the arithmetic and logic unit of microprocessor. Now if you observe this particular addition, then you will notice that at the end we have generated a ninth bit after making addition of two 8-bit numbers, and we call this ninth bit as carry bit. So in the process of addition, after performing the addition, whatever ninth bit is generated by the microprocessor, it could be 1 or it could be 0, we call it as a carry, and this carry is copied into a flag known as carry flag. So if the status of carry flag is equal to 0, we say that the carry generated is 0, and if the carry flag has value 1, we say that carry of the addition is 1. Now if the 8-bit addition is performed, then the 9th bit will be considered as a carry. If 16-bit addition is performed, then 17-bit will be considered as a carry. Now this is the case for the addition. If process is performing any other operation such as subtraction, then while making the subtraction, carry will not be generated. But if we are making the subtraction, then there is a possibility that a borrow may be required for the subtraction. So if processor is performing subtraction of x minus y, then there are two cases. If x is greater than y, then in the subtraction, the borrow required will be equal to 0. And if the borrow required is 0, the carry flag status will be copied as 0. So carry flag not only copies the status of carry, but it also carries the status of borrow in the subtraction. In the second case, if x is less than y and we are making the subtraction x minus y, then the borrow will be required because we are subtracting a larger number from the smaller number. So in that situation, for subtraction, borrow will be taken by the processor, and if the borrow required is 1, then the carry flag status will also be equal to 1. So carry flag not only copies the status of carry for addition, but it also copies the status of borrow for subtraction. So this is the function for carry flag. The second flag which we need to discuss here is auxiliary carry flag. The auxiliary carry is also a type of carry, but this carry is considered when we talk about the carry generated after addition of 4 LSBs. In the answer, the 4 LSBs, that is 1010, when it is added with 1000, then after addition, the fifth bit which is generated after addition of 4 LSBs is called as auxiliary carry. So the status of this auxiliary carry is copied into auxiliary carry flag. So if auxiliary carry flag is equal to 1, it means that after addition of 4 LSBs, the carry is generated. So if carry is generated after addition of 4 LSBs, the carry flag becomes 1. It is called as auxiliary carry. And if auxiliary carry flag is 0, it means 4 LSBs, after performing the addition of 4 LSBs, the carry is not generated. So if carry is not generated, then the auxiliary carry flag status will be equal to 0. Now in the same manner, as we considered subtraction for the carry flag, in the similar manner, the subtraction is also considered for auxiliary carry flag. While making the subtraction, if the borrow is taken for subtraction of 4 LSBs, then the auxiliary carry flag becomes 1. And if borrow is not required, or if borrow is 0 for making the subtraction of 4 LSBs, then the auxiliary carry flag becomes 0. Again, auxiliary carry flag gives you the status of carry as well as borrow for 4 LSBs. Even if we are performing the operation of 16-bit number, auxiliary carry will still be the carry generated from 4 LSBs, that is the fifth bit. The carry generated for the addition of fifth bit will be called as auxiliary carry. The next important flag is parity flag. Parity is the count of number of ones in the given number. Now in ALU, if you see the answer which is shown here, final answer, 8-bit answer, if you see in the ALU, the 9th bit will go to the carry flag, but rest of the 8 bits will be available in the ALU. And in ALU, the answer is considered for counting the number of ones. Parity of this answer is either even or it will be odd. If the number of ones available in the result of ALU is 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8, that means this is the count of ones. Then we call it as even parity. So in the microprocessor, after performing any operation in ALU, when the result is generated, in that result, if the number of ones are 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8, we call it as the even parity result. And if we are getting the number of ones equal to 1, 3, 5 or 7, then we call the parity as odd parity of the result. And in case of the result, if the parity is even, in that situation, parity flag becomes 1, and if parity is odd, in that situation, parity flag becomes 0. So in microprocessor, if parity flag is 1, it suggests that the result has even parity. It means it may have 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8 ones. If parity flag is 0, it means that the parity is odd, means the number of ones of the result are 1, 3, 5 or 7. Coming to the next flag. which is called as zero flag. Now, as here in the particular result, what we talk, the example which we have considered here, in that the number of ones for the result is equal to 2, so the parity is even, and in that situation the parity flag value will become 1, because here the number of ones is equal to 2 for the particular case. In the similar manner, in the ALU, whenever any result is produced, then the result can be either 0 or a non-zero number. If the result produced is a non-zero number, in that case the zero flag value will be equal to 0. And if the result produced in ALU is 0, then zero flag becomes 1. So in ALU, after performing any arithmetic or logical operation, if the result produced is 0, all bits 0, then zero flag becomes 1. If the result produced is non-zero, then the zero flag becomes 0. The next important flag in ALU is sign flag. Now when we deal with the signed numbers in microprocessor, the numbers are represented in sign magnitude form. Sign magnitude form indicates that the MSB bit or the D7 bit, if it's 8-bit number, then the D7 bit of the number will be represented as a sign, and rest of the 7 bits, that is D6 to D0, will be considered as the magnitude of the number. So likewise, this representation of a number is called as sign magnitude form. If this D7 bit is equal to 1, we say that the number is negative, and if this number is 0, we say that the number is positive. Now in the process in ALU, we can perform the operation on the signed numbers as well as unsigned numbers. Now whenever processor is performing operation on the signed numbers, the sign flag should be considered by the user. For unsigned numbers, the sign flag has no significance, although sign flag will copy the status even if we are performing unsigned operation or even if we are performing the signed operation. But sign flag has a significance if we are performing the operation on the signed numbers. Now whenever we are performing operation on the signed numbers, in the result, if the result is negative after performing the operation in ALU for the signed numbers, if the result is negative, then D7 bit of the result is 1, and in that situation the sign flag is equal to 1. Or in other words, if sign flag is 1, it indicates that the result obtained in ALU is negative. On the other hand, if result obtained is positive, then for the result the D7 bit is equal to 0 and sign flag is also equal to 0. So depending on the bit which is available in the sign flag, user can identify sign of the result. If sign flag is 1, result is negative, sign flag is 0, result is positive. In the next situation, we have another important flag, and this flag is called as overflow flag. Overflow flag is also related with the signed operation. Whenever we are performing any signed operation, overflow flag tells us whether the obtained result is within the signed range or not. Now when we talk about signed numbers, we have the range for signed numbers. The range for signed numbers that can be represented in the 8 bits or in the 16 bits. For 8-bit signed numbers, the range is minus 128 decimal to plus 127 decimal. And the range of 16-bit signed number is given as minus 32,768 decimal to plus 32,767 decimal. So whenever processor is performing any arithmetic operation on 8-bit or 16-bit signed numbers, if the presented answer is within the specified range, then overflow flag is equal to 0. Overflow flag is 0 indicates that result is within the signed range. And if overflow flag is equal to 1, then it indicates that result is out of range. So it is applicable for the signed numbers. The 8-bit signed numbers can be represented in the given range, and 16-bit signed numbers can be represented in the range which is mentioned here. If overflow flag is 0, it means that your answer obtained in ALU is within the range, and if overflow flag is 1, it means that the signed number, the result which is obtained, it is out of this range. So likewise, the overflow flag and sign flag, they are normally used whenever processor is performing signed operation, and rest of the status flags are used for all other operations, maybe signed numbers or maybe unsigned numbers. So whatever flags we discussed till now, the 6 flags, they are all status flags. Now coming to the next 3 flags which are specified here, they are 3 control flags. So to start with the functioning of control flag, let us discuss the first control flag, that is IF, which is interrupt flag. Now in microprocessor, the concept of interrupt is available. In microprocessor, there are 2 hardware interrupts available. One is INTR and another is NMI. INTR interrupt is called as maskable interrupt. Maskable means it is the interrupt which can be masked or which can be disabled. In microprocessor, there is a possibility of interrupt which suggests that if microprocessor is executing any main program and in between the main program, if it is interrupted using these interrupt pins, then it will branch to the subprogram. It will execute the subprogram for the interrupt and then it will return back to the main program. So this particular process is called as interrupt of the microprocessor. Whenever microprocessor is interrupted, then it will leave its main program, it will move to the subprogram, and after execution of the subprogram, it will come back to the main program. So to carry out this process, there are 2 interrupts available, INTR, which is a maskable interrupt, and NMI, which is non-maskable interrupt. In this situation, the INTR, which is called as the maskable interrupt, can be enabled or disabled by using the flag called as interrupt flag. So interrupt flag has 1 bit which can be made 1 or 0. If the value of interrupt flag is made 1, then INTR interrupt of the microprocessor will be enabled, or enabled means if any interrupt occurs on this particular pin, then processor will be interrupted, and if interrupt flag is 0, then INTR is disabled or it is masked. It means if the interrupt flag is 0, then even if any signal is provided on INTR pin, that will not be sensed by the microprocessor. So microprocessor will not be interrupted till the value of interrupt flag becomes 1. So to enable the INTR pin of the microprocessor, interrupt flag has to be made 1. So this way, interrupt flag controls the masking or unmasking operation of INTR pin. The second control flag in microprocessor is TF, which stands for trap flag. The trap flag is related with the execution of the program in microprocessor. If I have written any program in microprocessor having say number of instructions, then it can be executed in one go, and at the end of the program the results can be verified by the users. Now this particular process of verifying the result at the end of the whole program and execution of the entire program in one go is called as free run operation. So in microprocessor, if the whole program is executed at once, it is called as free run operation, where the user can verify results at the end. And there is one more possibility, that program can be executed in single step mode. Single step mode gives the facility to the user that each instruction will be executed one by one, and after every instruction the result can be verified for that particular instruction. So X will be executed, then processor produces the results, then Y will be executed, then user can verify the results, then Z will be executed and the process will continue. So this type of execution is called as single step mode. The execution of the program either in free run operation or in a single step mode can be controlled by using trap flag. So if trap flag value is equal to 1, then processor executes the program in single step mode, and if trap flag value is equal to 0, then free run execution will be carried out. Normally by default the trap flag value is 0, so the entire program when we execute, it will be executed at once, and the whole program, after execution of the whole program, the results can be verified. On the other hand, if we make the trap flag value is equal to 1, the single step mode is enabled and individual instruction can be executed and its results can be verified. So this way trap flag controls the execution pattern of the processor. The third and the last flag is direction flag or DF, also sometimes called as decrement flag. The direction flag or decrement flag is related in the string instructions of microprocessor. In microprocessor, there is one category which is called as string instructions, which deal with the string of the data. So when processor executes the data related to the string, that time it requires to increment or decrement the addresses present in the specific registers. For example, if microprocessor is executing a string instruction related with the data transfer from data memory segment to extra memory segment, the offset addresses for data memory segment will be normally stored in SI and DI, that is source index and destination index registers. Now when the string instructions are executed, after each byte transfer, when the string is transferred from one data block to another data block, each byte will be transferred one by one. After each byte transfer from data memory segment to extra memory segment, the addresses in SI and DI needs to be incremented each time. Now this increment and incrementing the addresses of SI and DI from lower order to higher order will be an automatic process if the value of direction flag is equal to 0. So if direction flag is equal to 0, the SI and DI registers will be auto incremented, which will ensure that the string data will be transferred or will be delivered from lower address to higher address, or you can say from left side to right side. Because when we talk about the string of characters, the leftmost data will be the first data and the rightmost character will be the last character. So we say that from lower address to higher address, when the string is transferred from data memory segment to extra memory segment, then the addresses in SI and DI register will be automatically incremented if the direction flag value is equal to 0. On the other hand, if direction flag value is equal to 1, then this SI and DI registers, they will be auto decremented, and that is why the flag is also referred as decrement flag. So this way the direction flag is used particularly in the string instructions to auto increment and decrement SI and DI registers for data memory segment and extra memory segment respectively. If direction flag is 0, then SI and DI will be auto incremented, and if direction flag is 1, then SI and DI will be auto decremented. This way all the flags have their own work. 6 status flags and 3 control flags can be used in the microprocessor for verifying the results and for controlling the certain specific operations of the microprocessor. So here the architecture part of the microprocessor is complete. In the next video we shall discuss the pin configuration of the microprocessor. Thank you.